We're going to start, though, with the topic that's got the whole of football talking. Trent Alexander-Arnold has been at Liverpool since the age of 6, but he's edging closer to a move to Real Madrid. He's out of contract in the summer, and there is growing optimism from both parties that a deal can be done. Well, Hoare from Redmen TV and former Liverpool striker Mellor have joined us to have a debate on Trent's decision to leave the club. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to come to you first, Steve. There's been an angry reaction to the news by some sections of fans on social media. What do you think is the general feeling amongst supporters? Are they quite divided on this?
Probably not. I don't think there's that much division. I think what you said the first time is right. We obviously went live on our show yesterday when the news started to break, and there was a lot of anger towards Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think you can't escape that. A lot of people feel a little bit let down by the decision, more so, well, in particular, the fact that he's going for free. He's, probably £100 million plus player. Liverpool are going to lose for nothing. So there's definitely anger towards him from, I would say, a large section of the fan base.
There doesn't seem to be the same debate over Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah, does there? So why is Trent's potential departure proving to be particularly emotive?
I think it's the age, but also from what we're led to believe, he's rejected offers. From what we're led to believe on the other two, they haven't. They both have made it pretty clear that they want to stay at Liverpool, that's whether in interviews or via reports or whatever. So I think if a player wants to stay and the club don't sort that out, I actually think a lot of the anger will go towards the football club on that one. But if we're led to believe what we're led to believe about Alexander-Arnold, he's been offered deals. There was reports saying he's been offered to be paid, the highest paid English player in the league, which your guess is upwards of £300,000 a week. So I think that's the difference, really. I think the anger on the Salah and Van Dijk ones, if they don't get done, I think a lot of that will go towards the football club. I think on Trent's part, if they've offered him deals, numerous deals, and he's rejected them, then I think he's the one who's getting the backlash, really.
Neil, what do you make of all of this? Trent's been at the club since he was a young boy. Can you understand the reaction of some fans who are so upset that he might be leaving?
Absolutely. The fans are entitled to voice their concerns, their opinion. Ultimately, that's what football's about, opinion, and the fans are okay to do that. But in terms of Trent, he's got a big decision to make. It's still speculation. I feel as though we've been here before with certain players where it would take a dramatic U-turn, but it's still not happened. Nothing's come out from Trent, nothing's come out from Liverpool, nothing's come out from Real Madrid. So at the moment, Trent's probably seeing all this social media stuff and thinking, wow, this is a bad reaction. And he'll be aware of that. He has still got a big decision to make. In terms of his legacy, I think if he did leave Liverpool, that would damage his legacy. More the fact he's going on a free, the fact he's a local boy. And Trent is a little bit like sort of the next Steven Gerrard. For me, when I was a young player, it was Steven Gerrard. He was the one to come through the academy, and Trent's been that player. So he's got a lot to thank the academy for, without a doubt, all the staff there. But if you look at the academy now, under 6s, under 7s, under 8s, up to 18s, 21s, the one they're looking up to is Trent Alexander-Arnold. They're looking at Trent and thinking, I want to be the next Trent. If Trent does go, that will still remain. These young kids will still think, I want to get in the first team like Trent has done. Trent has been a brilliant player for Liverpool, a brilliant player. He's been unbelievable, he really has. He's transformed the right-back position, hasn't he? I mean, unbelievable what he's done there. So it'd be a massive blow, really disappointing if he does leave, but I've not seen it at the bottom of the screen that he's officially left yet.
Well, Neil, you said it there. He's been a great servant for Liverpool for many, many years. He's won everything that he could have won for the club. Should he not then get a hero send-off for all he's achieved when he leaves?
Have you seen social media? I'm not sure that will happen. I think what I would.
But why not?
What I would say, any Liverpool fan that goes to Anfield will support the players, the team, regardless. And if Trent is to play between now and the end of the season, I don't know, because he's out injured at the moment. I don't know if he'll get any game time between. If he represents Liverpool, the fans will support him. In terms of a hero send-off, I can't see what happened with Jurgen Klopp happening to Trent. I think if the decision is to leave on a free, I don't think that will be the case. But I'm sure there will be some fans who applaud, some that will boo. But that's up to the fans, how they want to make that decision. But I don't think we'll see the reception that Jurgen got with Trent saying goodbye.
Well, Steve, it could be the opposite, couldn't it? There is a suggestion he could get booed by some of the fans in the next game. Do you think that will happen?
I don't know. I think Neil's right. Very rarely do you hear players get booed at Anfield. That tends not to be happening. It tends to be either applause or there might be like a muted silence, a bit of nothingness. Really, doesn't really tend to get boos at Anfield. But yeah, listen, he's injured, isn't he, at the moment in time? That might do him a bit of a favour if this does come out that it's happening. You know, if he misses the next few weeks or months or so. Listen, our aim at this moment in time is for Liverpool to be Premier League champions, and I think everybody in the stadium, everybody in the team knows that, and that is goal number one. If you're going to boo Trent and maybe impact the rest of the team, I think that's just a negative impact. I don't think that should happen. I don't think that would happen. Now, listen, if Liverpool do win that title, like we all hope they do, and on that last day, you know, we're parading the trophy around Anfield and Trent lifts it to the cop, would every single person cheer as loud as they do for example, when Virgil van Dijk or Alisson or Mo Salah do the same? Hand on heart, I would say probably not, if I'm honest. So I don't think there would be too many boos. I might be wrong. I'm just speaking for myself, but I wouldn't expect it to be as gracious. Neil mentioned before when Jurgen left and they had the pomp and circumstance. I would be shocked if Alexander-Arnold got that at the end of the season, in truth.
Yeah. Neil, I'll come back to you in a moment just on that. But Steve, just following on from how he's going to be perceived if he does leave and go to Real Madrid, do you think he will be seen along the lines of, say, Steve McManaman and Michael Owen, players who left, did a lot for Liverpool, but then left to go abroad, in both cases to Real Madrid, maybe not quite seen as the legends that they could have been seen as?
Absolutely, and listen, there's an argument to be made that this is worse. When Steve McManaman and Michael Owen left, Liverpool weren't competing for Premier League titles, really. You know, they hadn't won many trophies. Obviously, Michael won the treble a few years earlier, but Liverpool weren't one of the best teams in Europe. They weren't competing for Premier Leagues. They were quite far away from it. Trent is leaving a team that are, again, likely going to be Premier League champions. He's won loads of trophies. So you can't say I'm going to Real Madrid to win leagues, because he'll have hopefully won 2 of them here. Now, there's an argument to be made, maybe he just wants to win the league every single year. That's his prerogative. But I actually think, you know, Michael Owen, a lot of his reception is also the fact that, you know, the Man United links after. But you are right, those 2 players have been absolutely fantastic. 2 of the best players I've seen for Liverpool, 2, you know, lads who have come through the academy like Neil did. And yet they aren't seen, you know, Gerrard, Carragher are held in higher regards because, A, they didn't leave. There's even been players who've left in different ways who maybe, you know, have been given that welcome. So I agree. I think Neil mentioned the word legacy before. None of this should undermine what Trent's done. He's been one of the best right backs in the world. He's been an integral part of a team that has turned from, you know, perennial outsiders to a team who've won every single trophy that there was to win. But yeah, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. If he leaves to go to Real Madrid for nothing, that will always be part of the Trent Alexander-Arnold story, just as the same as, you know, for Michael Owen's 2 goals in the FA Cup final in 2001, you've also got Michael Owen left on a free, and Michael Owen went to Manchester United. So how you leave a football club absolutely plays a part in your legacy. You can't deny that at all, and he'll know that.
Yeah, well, let's develop that point on it being a free then, Neil. That seems to be, you know, a big part of this whole thing and how the fans are generally feeling. But the club have got to take a big responsibility for that as well, haven't they? It's not just Trent Alexander-Arnold, but you've got 2 other key players who are also potentially have the option to leave for free at the end of the season as well. It's not all on the player, is it?
No, I think it is a mixture, without a doubt. I think everybody's known about these 3 players from last summer, and this is the first real time we've heard a lot of noise about one of them potentially leaving. I think what I would say is there's been a lot of uncertainty around Liverpool over the last sort of 12, 18 months in terms of Jurgen announcing his leaving, Michael Edwards returning to the football club, Richard Hughes coming in as well. So there's been sort of a lot of changes happening behind the scenes, but Liverpool are now in an incredible position. I really do believe that. They've got one of the best in the business in Michael Edwards. Richard Hughes, his recruitment speaks for itself. So every player will leave a football club at some point. Fans don't like that because some of them will be heroes and they'll be replaced. And that would be the same for Trent, that would be the same for Van Dijk, for Salah. So in terms of these players who are really important to Liverpool and top-class players, some of the best in the world in their position, enjoy the time while you can, while they're at that football club. It may only be a few months for Trent. It could be a few more years for Salah. It could be a few more years for Virgil van Dijk. But I do believe that what Liverpool have in place now, they'll get the recruitment right and they'll maintain the position to challenge for the top trophies in world football. And Real Madrid have always been in that position. Liverpool are in that position. So he's not going to a football club who are in a better position than Liverpool. Liverpool, as Steve mentioned there, are in that position to challenge for the biggest trophies in world football at the moment.
Steve, how much criticism do you think the club should take then for allowing one of their top homegrown players, a young player as well, to run down his contract?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Neil mentioned before, there's been lots of change. I think there's been, 3 or 4 sporting directors in the last few years. There was a change of manager. So it's all been a bit messy, really. And I don't know whether that's impacted things as well. But, Michael Edwards left, then he come back, and Jörg Schmadtke was here, and then he's gone, and Julian Ward was here, and then he's gone. It's been very chaotic, and ultimately the book lies with whoever is at the top. That's just, in any business, that's how it goes. So absolutely, Liverpool have found themselves in a big mess. I separate Trent's one a little bit from Van Dijk and Salah, because those two have made it abundantly clear they want to stay. And if a deal doesn't get done, then that is, you'd assume that's because it's a Liverpool decision in terms of something. If we're led to believe with Trent, what's reported, and he has been offered huge wages and he's turned that down, I do think they are different slightly. But absolutely, Liverpool pride themselves and say all the time, they're well run, they're well structured, and a lot of the time that is true. But you can't sit with 3 of your best players out of contract when there's 9 games to go in the season and presume the garden's all rosy and everything's fine, because that shouldn't happen. This should have been resolved a long time ago. I would like to have hoped that all 3 would have signed new contracts. That hasn't happened. So absolutely, you say Trent not to blame, well, Trent's to blame, quote unquote, for choosing to go to Real Madrid. But yeah, could Liverpool have done more to keep him? I don't know, but absolutely, yeah, it's not all hunky-dory. Something hasn't gone quite right for whatever reason, and yeah, this is the situation that we found ourselves in.
But Neil, from Trent's point of view, can you totally see the attraction of why he'd want to go to a club like Real Madrid? I know that Liverpool are having a brilliant season, and they're certainly one of the top clubs in the world at the moment, but he's already won the Premier League and the Champions League at Liverpool. He'll have an opportunity to win a league in another country and another Champions League. Surely if he does that at one of the most successful clubs in European history, then that's going to enhance his own legacy, isn't it?
He's at the most successful club in English football, and he's a local boy. He's got the chance to be an absolute great at Liverpool Football Club. There's not many of them, and he's got the opportunity to do that. If he did leave, that's where he damages that legacy and that reputation in terms of being one of the greats for Liverpool. Real Madrid will always be an attraction. They always have been. So are Liverpool. So he's got a big decision to make in terms of wanting that new challenge. What I would say is in terms of the defence of these players. In the summer, nobody knew what would happen when Jurgen left. Everyone was thinking, can Liverpool still be the side, the force that we've seen in recent seasons? Arne Slot's come in and has been absolutely brilliant. He's maintained Liverpool's challenge at the top of the league. There's 12 points clear with 9 games to go. It will be an incredible season for Liverpool to win the Premier League. Yes, disappointing to lose to PSG, disappointing not to turn up in the cup final against Newcastle. They thoroughly deserved it. But if Liverpool win the Premier League this year, that will be massive. And that will tell Salah, Van Dijk and Trent, you're at the best club in English football. Why would you want to leave? And I understand why the players have maybe delayed making that decision. So I think the fact that Liverpool have been so good, you're hoping will influence them, certainly to stay.
We've still also got to decide, Steve, that the futures of Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. If news comes out in the next few days that he is definitely going to Real Madrid, Trent is, how do you think that will impact the futures of the other two?
They might get a bit more money, mightn't they? That might do them a favour. I don't know. There might be a bit more money to spend. I don't know. Again, from all indications, those two both want to stay at the football club. I think if this is happening now like it is, they will have been acutely aware, footballers and football teams and clubs, etc. They know more than what we know at the time, so they probably are well aware of it. I'm sure Neil's had teammates in the past who have been going through contracts or transfers, and he's had a little heads up before any of us are. So I'm guessing they will have been aware of this. But yeah, I think it puts more pressure actually on Liverpool, the football club, to get those two signed down and get those deals done, because maybe it strengthens their hand in terms of negotiations. Liverpool, the last thing they want to do is lose 3 of their best players and get no money for them all. So Neil mentioned before, the players can be replaced, and that's absolutely fine. Players are always replaced. Every legend who's left has been replaced by somebody else. But in an era of PSR and all that kind of stuff, where if you lose £100 million asset for free, and in fact you lose another 2 on top of that, who could be worth, what's Mo Salah worth, what's Virgil van Dijk worth, and then you've got to go into the market to spend that money to find replacements. You're not going to find anyone who's as good as them, because that's pretty much impossible. I think all 3 are 3 of the best in the world. then you've got to balance the money side, the wages side, and the PSR stuff. It becomes very, very difficult. So, in a way, Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, they might have a bit more strength in these negotiations. Are you really going to let me walk away for nothing after you've already let one of you're probably the most valuable asset at the club in terms of transfer value leave for free? So it could play a part in that. I still think both of those two will sign. I'm hopeful they will. But yeah, maybe they get an extra couple of grand in the paycheck on the back of this one. I don't know.
How about the timing of all of this, Neil? So far, you would say, obviously, this has been around since close to the start of the season, really, for all three players, but it hasn't had an impact on Liverpool's form. But there has been a bit of a wobble just in the last few weeks. Do you think the uncertainty around all three of the players has just started to have a bit of an impact?
I don't know. I'm around the football club a lot, and there's no talk of a wobble. Some people might talk of a wobble. There's no wobble at Liverpool Football Club. The 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They've lost a cup final, and that can happen to any team. And Newcastle were the better team on the day. They lost to probably the best side in Europe at the moment, PSG on penalties. They missed chances in that game, very nearly won that game. So it's not a wobble at the moment. There's no doubt about that. I think the focus is the timing of this international break. Liverpool come back. The next game is against Everton a week today, and it's focus on the Premier League. There's a Premier League to win. The timing for Trent, he's not going to be playing. So maybe when he comes back to play in 3-4 weeks, he's hoping that maybe Virgil's announced or Salah, and the mood might have changed slightly. But yeah, he's not going to be playing. So that might help him in terms of a little bit of time before he eventually does come out and play. So, and by the way, he's not said anything, has he? Is this not also speculation about people saying that he's going to sign? And it might be close. It might be close. I remember being at the football club when Steven Gerrard was close to leaving, and I saw fans burning his shirt, and everyone thought he was leaving. He stayed. Now, Trent might go, but he might stay.
Yeah, OK, well, let's finish on that then, because that's a point I wanted to make earlier, actually. I'll come to you, actually, on this, Steve. From where I look at it, Trent Alexander-Arnold has actually conducted himself pretty well, hasn't he? He hasn't spoken about it in the media. Mohamed Salah, actually, earlier in the season, responded in a couple of ambiguous ways, didn't he, which created more speculation. So, by that rationale, has he not actually done everything he can to try and keep a lid on this?
Yeah, actually, it depends. You can look at that both ways, can't you? Are you being respectful by keeping your mouth shut and just letting them get on with it? Or actually, the people think, well, you're not saying anything, therefore you want to leave. You can't win. You're in a lose-lose situation. I think early on the reporting around Trent was he's not going to let this play out in public. Well, good luck with that. That's impossible. When have Real Madrid ever signed a player on the sly? We've all seen this before. The PR campaigns and the reports and the leaks. That always happens when Kylian Mbappe went through this, didn't he, for 2 years at PSG. It's just how things work with Real Madrid. So if he thought that it was all going to be under wraps until the last day of the season, then he can go, listen, that's me, I'm off. Well, I think that's quite naive. That was never going to happen. But yeah, listen, he hasn't come out. He hasn't criticised anybody. He's kept it all to himself. So you can't say Trent acted in any right or wrong way. We don't know how Trent acted because we haven't seen anything of it. And again, sometimes the absence of news and the absence of quotes lets people fill in their own gaps, doesn't it? And some people will say he's been respectful. Some people will say he's been disrespectful. So that's a real tough one. He was in a lose-lose situation. Listen, you can't leave Liverpool as a local player who's adored as a hero and who the club want you to stay. You can't leave in a good way. There's no good way. Whatever way you choose to go about it, people are going to criticise. That just is what it is. And Jamie Carragher, famously of this parish, once said, local players are just treated differently. They're adored more, but if they leave, they're criticised more as well. And that is just the way it goes, because that kid is playing out the dreams of millions and millions of people in this city who would love to be in his position. And then for you to say, I'm getting off, a lot of people just can't justify that in their heads because, listen, I don't know. I've never been there. I've never been good enough to look at me. I was never going to be an athlete. But if I play for Liverpool, I couldn't think at any point in time, unless someone knocked on my door and said, mate, you're gone, that I would ever want to leave. I couldn't imagine doing that. So for some people to wrap their heads around the fact that there is a player from here who's about to do that, he was always going to get criticised. And like Neil said before, that's fair. I think it's fair enough. Trent will know that as well. He's got every right and every reason to go to Real Madrid, and he could do absolutely fantastic there. But if he thought he was going to go away, would just see you later, Trent. Nice one, mate. Thanks for everything. That's misguided. That was just never going to happen.